Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and welcome to Tao of the Day. We're here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, and it's filled with all sorts of enigmatic insights and just sort of observations that help us live a more reasonable life. What I mean when I talk about living a reasonable life is living a life in which we no, I did not have a talk yesterday. Nobody did, actually. Yesterday we were asked to not do talks because they were doing some updates and other things on the app. So there were no talks yesterday. So if you didn't receive any notices of any talks, it's simply because there were none. As far as I'm aware, I mean, I don't know if anything actually happened or not, but that's what I was told. So that's what I'll tell you. But we are back, and this is like 11th hour stuff because up until 20 minutes ago, I didn't even have a badge in order to do talks. So I was thinking maybe they pulled my badge, and I wouldn't be able to do talks. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And I was already sort of planning what I was going to have to do next. So yeah, but here we are. We're back, and we're doing Tao of the Day, and I should be here most days. I did actually set a flight for next month one day, and I won't be landing until 6:30 Central Time, so I won't be doing the talk that day. But I'll make sure everybody knows what's going on when that happens. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. This is Martin John, and once again, this is Tao of the Day. We talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching, once again, is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC. It's been a long time. This is 600 years before Jesus, right? like this has been around for a minute. And you're going to notice so much of the work within the Tao Te Ching, the message within the Tao Te Ching is the messages of Jesus, right? Like, is this whole idea of loving each other from this standpoint of not asking them to change, not asking them to be any different than they are, accepting them as they are. And of course, when it's time to pick up a weapon, we do. But we don't do that without awareness. We can defend ourselves. We can support ourselves. We can do all of these things without having to step on others. We can do all of these things without having to ask others to change in any way. Sometimes we need to take ourselves out of situations. Sometimes we need to adjust a situation and adjust our boundaries. There's all sorts of things that are going on, and Dr. Rao just opened up a talk. So for those of you who are interested in Dr. Rao, he's doing a proactive wellness talk right now. I just saw, and I'm a big fan of Dr. Rao, and we're buddies, and we kind of talk along the same lines. But this is Tao of the Day, so if anybody wants to come up and pick a number, JK is going to join me, and then we'll talk a little bit. I don't know where my pen is. Let's see. Hey, JK, how are you doing?
Oh, how are you?
I'm well. You were muted there for a second or something. I didn't hear you. But here you are. I'm well. Oh. It was a long morning of just like, I can't do a talk. I wonder if that's purposeful. But I'm good.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I came on when you were saying, I don't know anything about that. I kind of came in around the time you were talking about you're leaving somewhere, you're going somewhere, and that's all I heard. Where are you going?
Oh,
anywhere fun?
I know. Oh. No, I'm just going to Virginia to visit my sister.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I like it. It's been a while. It's been, I don't know, maybe it's been a while since I've seen her. I don't know. I don't keep track, but yeah, but I got it. I got my ticket yesterday, and I'm leaving on the 7th of May. And that's in the evening, but I'm coming back on the 12th, and I won't land until 6:30, so I won't be able to do Tao of the Day on the 12th of May. Put it in your calendars, folks.
In the calendars.
But
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah. So how's your morning?
Wonderful. I'm doing great. I do have a number.
Oh,
Um,
hit me up.
yeah, I'm doing good. It's a new day. It's a new, lots of new
It's a
stuff
new day.
happening. That's what I was thinking.
What's that? Yeah, what's that
Yeah, new
song?
day,
How
new
does it?
dawn.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
and it is. Look
Um,
at that.
it sure is. Yeah, no, it's lots of new stuff happening in my life coming up. So I'm excited for it all. And
Okay, good.
I woke up, I woke up, um, and I was done with my journal. So I have a new journal. And yesterday, my pen died. I used all the ink in my pink
Wait.
pen.
What died?
My pink pen
Oh,
died.
your pink pen died. Okay.
My pink pen died. I like gel pens, pink gel pens, and they have to be fine point. So that's the ones I like. And they don't actually make the ones that I use anymore that I can find. So I was in the shop and I was able to see um, a new brand, and they were called the Colors of Optimism, which I thought was funny. They just happen to be fine point and gel, so
Okay.
those are the ones I got.
That's your jam.
So that's my jam, and
I
so it doesn't have to be pink, but I prefer.
For me, so many products have been taken, like that I liked, have been taken off the market. Like
Me
things that,
too.
like I remember there was a shampoo I liked, and although the brand still exists, they stopped making, and I don't even remember the shampoo. There's very few things in my life that I've liked, and all of the things that I've liked have gotten taken off the shelves. And that was a lesson for me in Tao. It definitely was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, I
yeah.
like
Oh,
this
yeah.
thing and I can't find it anymore. Are you kidding me? Like, okay, like surrender. And what am I going to do? Tell the company I like it. You have to make it for, because I'm like, I'm not going to buy that much shampoo. Come on.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it's really about letting go and letting
Yeah.
go of all of it. And it's nice when you can do that. It just sometimes you can't see very clearly right away when you
Right.
are in it. You know, you get upset, you start searching all the websites for
Yeah.
everything. You know, you're ready to sell your soul for your shampoo. Like,
And
where
and
is that shampoo?
and then at some point you just get upset at yourself for even doing
Yes.
that, because like who cares?
No.
Like
Yeah.
I don't even
It's
want to,
annoying.
like, right, it just becomes annoying to do the work that like your desire is driving, and that's when you do it until you don't, and then it's like, okay, then now I'm done,
Yeah.
and then if someone comes to me and they're just like, but I found it here, and it's like, maybe I'll get it, but maybe it's just like, you know what, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah. And if you really let it go, you probably don't. You're just like, whatever.
Right.
I use my soap bar now. Like, I'm good.
I'm done.
Like,
Yeah, like
yeah, I'm
I've
done.
gone I've gone
And
I've
it's,
gone to the lengths I'm willing to go.
yeah, and I think it's more like when you're done. For me, anyway, there's me being done because I'm angry or and there's me being done where you actually surrender to it.
Right.
And if you don't let it go, then you're still its bitch. Like, that's all I have to say. Like,
So
there's still animosity there, I think, a little bit in my head, because I'm still like, I'm doing it out of principle and not because I'm indifferent to it now. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, maybe I'll get the shampoo, maybe I won't. But it's like, I'm not going to get that shampoo. You've sucked every moment out of my life trying to search for you and that damn company. For me, that's the difference.
yeah. So what was your number?
Number one, please.
Number one, expressing Tao. Words are particular. They cannot express Tao. To have a name is to be limited to manifestation. That which is nameless is the source of manifestation. Self-referential, those who name themselves. Want to experience the depth of the mystery? Stop identifying. Want to experience the shallowness of manifestation? Differentiate. Either way, no one can tell. The difference is in your experience.
Love that one. And I'm actually, I have the dog with me, so do you mind just talking about it a little bit? I mean, we've gone through this one before, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
think it's funny
absolutely.
because it's very, it seems appropriate. It's always nice to start from the beginning again sometimes. And I like when you read this one personally. And I think it's a nice way, if we're talking about letting go and we're talking about new days and new dawns, that number one was a good choice.
Yeah, it is. What I like about this one, and this is me patting myself on the back a bit, about this line in the middle, because it carries this verse, in my opinion, really, it does a lot of heavy lifting, and it's self-referential, those who name themselves. That line can go in so many different directions, and really it's like, if you refer to yourself, because life is self-referential, right? Like, you are constantly referring to yourself through every thought that you have, through every action you take, through every experience you have. You are self-referential. You're referring to yourself. You are looking out at the world and referring back to yourself constantly. You can't not, because you are yourself. So every moment of your life is self-referential. So every experience you have, when something, this morning when I was like, my badge is gone and I'm not going to be able to talk, everything gets pulled from me. Burr, burr, burr. And it's like, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but seriously, like the thought is self-referential. Like, I've created this thought because of the experience that I'm having. The manifestation isn't doing anything to me. I'm experiencing it, and I am referencing myself through this experience. But then it says, so self-referential, those who name. So if you name anything, you're self-referential. And so if you name anything, you're naming yourself. If I look out at the world and I say, that's bad, well, I'm referring back to myself and saying there's something bad with me. Because everything that I am is coming through my experience, coming through my perception of the world around me. So that line specifically, but this line is doing the carrying. It's kind of like the barbell that is carrying the weights of the two sides of this verse. So first we start, words are particular, they cannot express Tao. This is a fact. It is just making this known. Words, they are particular. They cannot express Tao. Anything that, and this is the first line of the entire Tao Te Ching. Words are particular. They cannot. This means that every word that is in this text cannot express Tao. The idea that you're here to understand Tao, it is telling you, cannot be done with what you have in your hand. Because words are particular. So nothing that I can say or do is going to actually express Tao, and yet you're here reading it anyway. And that's okay. But don't be surprised when you get to the end of this and you don't know Tao any more than you did in the beginning. What's that?
No, I was gonna, and I'll say goodbye because I was waiting. I didn't want to just drop off, but
Okay.
well, because everybody's experience is different too, like you were just saying.
Right.
And how can you understand it in a book? You have to experience it, and as you change, you experience it differently, and that's what's
Right.
so beautiful about the book, right? Because you go back and you read the same thing again, and it means something completely different. You're like, holy crap, how did I miss that all the time? And it's not
Right.
that you missed anything. You know,
Right.
it wasn't for you in that moment. Like
Right.
you at that time, you couldn't perceive that concept or that line. You couldn't see it. It was impossible for you to see it until it presents itself, and you have to be in a certain, version of yourself to do that.
Right. And then, the next line being, to have a name is to be limited to manifestation. So like you have a name, you have an identity, you have this. So there is a part of you that is limited to the manifestation. That which is nameless is the source of manifestation. So when you get rid of all the words, when you get rid of Tao, when you get rid of all of the things that are trying to, be identified, that's the source of manifestation. But then we get the heavy lifting line, self-referential, those who name themselves. This is the transition. This is the transition of understanding that you're the one that is in the way of everything, of everything being connected. You are the state of separation, and it is your mind, and it is this idea of identifying. It is this idea of, being fooled by the manifestation. All of these things we see later on in the Tao, but because this is the first verse of the Tao, you can read this and go over it and not realize how heavy this verse is and how much heavy lifting this line, self-referential, those who name themselves. You can go through that and be like, yes, all those words make sense, but do I understand what that means? Do I understand like the deep heavy lifting that this line is putting into focus?
And I don't know that I know that now. Like I do from my perspective,
Yeah.
but it was, you've read this one, I don't know, a lot of times. And coming back to it and hearing every time you read it, there's something else that I hear that's different. Even if, I don't know, your explanation is always a little different too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm always a little different, so.
That's all right. I am too.
And then there's the other side of the barbell that this line is lifting. And it starts with two questions, which want to experience the depth of the mystery, stop identifying, want to experience the shallowness of manifestation, differentiate. And this is either way, no one can tell the differences in your experience. It's saying, who cares? Who cares if you want to experience the depth of the mystery or the shallowness of manifestation? Nobody cares. It's all stupid. It's all just like you out here living your life. If you're going to go ahead and reference yourself anyway, go ahead and identify. Go ahead and differentiate. Go ahead and stop identifying. Who cares? You're just having your life. When you start to compare that life to something else and start to express it in terms of this first verse, right? This first part of this verse. Words are particular, they cannot express doubt. To have a name is to be limited to manifestation. To have a name is want to experience the depth of the mystery. Now you have an identity. Want to experience the shallow. It's that wanting. It's that ego. And that's the name. Either way, no one can tell the differences in your experience. The nameless is like gets rid of all of that. That's the source of manifestation. That's like not having any identity. And that's impossible for us as humans. But
yeah. And the differences in your experience. And the thing is that's how you manifest your experience. I don't really know much about the manifesting stuff, but you can look at it one way or you can look at it the other. It's up to you. It depends on if you really want to see what's there and the magic, you can. And for me, that's me manifesting my experience, and I'm able to do that. And that's it. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. All right, I got 3 people in the queue, actually. We're going to start with Dr. Rao. I got 4 people in the queue now, so we'll move quick as we can. Dr. Rao, it's been a while. I actually, you started a talk and I told everybody that you were doing that. It was great.
No, actually, they told me last night I cannot do live.
Yeah, well, no, you can now, I think. Yeah, yeah. Your badge is back. My badge was pulled too.
Yeah. No. I looked at my friends, and then you were there without badge. Then, oh my God, they did to Martin.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do Tao of the Day anymore. I was like, we'll see.
Yeah, I wasn't meaning to come today, but I just want to check. That's why I came. Oh yeah, Martin is arrived, so I should go there.
No, well, I appreciate it.
I tried just to check that it is working. That's kind of rude, right? Isn't?
Well, whatever. They're going to do what they're. You just. I was sweating a little bit, but then I was like, you know what? I'll figure something else out. It's all fine. Like whatever happens.
No,
I can message people. So
on my WhatsApp group, something called empowering entrepreneurs, and then I do one called proactive wellness to teach people how to be proactive about wellness.
That's good.
And then there is this in between talk. I do it on the Zoom, so I combine all the three into one.
I think the work that you do is great, and I'm really glad to be on this platform with you. I got a number of people in the queue, so I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I just came to check whether we work or not.
Yes, we're here doing the good work.
There's one thing though. There's one thing I'll tell you.
Yeah.
About wording this philosophy is one thing. That's the first verse is telling you. Living the philosophy is another thing. That only subjectively you can verify.
Right.
Somebody cannot judge you because you know what is going on within you, So living the reality, living the real truth, that is only whether you are doing it or just uttering everything. Okay, I'll let you carry on, Jan.
Thank you so much. Okay. I love you, and we'll talk soon. Yeah, like that last line in this number one. Either way, no one can tell the differences in your experience, and I think that really says a lot. Julie, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
What was that, dear?
Sorry?
You had said something, and I missed it. What was that?
I said I like that line as well.
Yeah.
I like it when things it's almost like dealing with a thrown up in the air experience. You can't say what's going to happen.
Yeah, and you don't know where it's going to land.
Yeah, exactly. So you just see it as, for me, it's like an observation of other opportunities. Always when these things happen, because it allows you to kind of gauge that change is always going to occur. Always. So if you want to be in kind of a space, you can enjoy that space as it is in the present time. But if that space isn't there, there'll be change and you'll do something else. That's how it is, So it's kind of interesting. It's good, I think, to have like a little flag waved. What else can you do? Where else can you be? What else can you do with your time? What else is there for your experience, really? And I think it's a good thing. And I've played with it, as you know, myself many times. I've almost kind of played with it in a way as to say, let's do a little bit of discovery about how it feels in these various kind of spaces. And I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed that play. I'm enjoying it again now, and God knows how long that'll be for, and then I'll enjoy whatever I do next.
Yeah.
But yeah. I am at my next sit with 3 cats.
And you've been here before?
I have. This is my 3rd time. And like I've said, every time, everything changes. These cats are no longer kept in the kitchen, then they're no longer let out during the day and brought back into the kitchen. They are now free roaming cats. And as I speak, they're in the kitchen. Got all that freedom, Martin John.
Well, that's what we do. That's what we do.
So, yeah, it's no longer have I got a list of instructions. I am expected to know stuff now.
Oh.
I'm expected to know stuff from before, which is fine. It's fine. And what I don't know, I'll ask about. That's how it is. I don't care if that makes me look forgetful, silly, or any of those other titles that I could give myself. But I'm not going to do any of those. I'm just going to go along each day, each moment, just being.
Do you have a number?
That's me. Yes. I'm going to go for a number, and the number is going to be 22.
22. Looking away from what you want. You know, I like to, you know, when I wrote this, I decided to make titles, which not every translation does. I think that the titles are always are good, and the reason that I do titles is because I'm an artist, and you know, like one of the most ridiculous things is having a painting that is untitled, because it doesn't guide us to anything.
Yes.
Right? It's like we it's good to look at a painting before you read the title.
Yes.
And to sit with it. But then reading the title gives you a little insight into what the artist intended, rather than just being selfish and being like, this is about what I'm, and it's fine. Like there are different ways to look at art, but to leave a painting untitled is just putting a lot on the viewer. And the reason that I wanted to make titles is because I wanted to set the stage for what you're about to hear, what you're about to read. And the title of this is Looking Away from What You Want.
Can I just interject really quickly?
Yeah, please.
Right, so Martin John, I have got my book in front of me. It's a New English version by Martin John. And it's the Tao Te Ching. And I've got it open at number 22. So right as soon as we start, we have a place to actually start from, which is like the idea of looking, and then you can even just take that line and you can sit like in like, why would I want to look away from what I want? And then if we think about the Tao, we can say, well, wanting is often about the outside world. Like if I want to lose weight, that's about wanting to look a certain way in the world rather than just being in my body. Yeah.
If I want more money, that is wanting maybe security in the world rather than like realizing that I'm secure right now, actually. Yes, I could have more money and I could have more stuff or whatever. But so this is where we're starting. And what it says next is to become complete, know that you're partial. To become straight, know that you're crooked. To become full, know that you're empty. To be new, know that you're worn out. He who wants it all must know what all includes. Mm-hmm. Thus, the master stays centered in Tao and becomes an example for the world. Because she knows her light is forfeit, people can see it. Because she has no point to prove, people can trust her words. Because she has no identity, she becomes a mirror for others. Because she has nothing to attain, nothing can be kept from her. Thus, when it is said to become complete, know that you're partial. It is wise to heed and surrender to it. Only by living in collaboration with Tao can one find completion. Anything stand out to you?
I like the line, to become full, know that you're empty.
Yeah.
I like that. Because for me, it's like having knowledge, if you like. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love to have knowledge. I do love to discover new things, new inventions, new technologies, new ways of doing old things done in old ways. But I do realise that I haven't got that knowledge. And so I can enjoy that as well, if you know what I mean. I can go back to doing things the way that I do them until that knowledge comes. I know that I'm empty, but that doesn't bother me at all, because I kind of like that feeling too. I know what that entails. That entails for me a seeking, curious attitude. That's how I function. I get curious about things. And to have that curiosity, I've got to realise that I don't know.
Absolutely. And what I love about all of these in the beginning, right? This to become complete, know that you're partial, straight, crooked, full, empty, new, worn out. All of those are like when you embrace your emptiness, when you embrace the fact that you're empty, when you embrace the fact that you're worn out, when you embrace the fact that you're crooked, when you embrace the fact that you're partial, within embracing that, you find its opposite. When you embrace the fact that you're partial, you realize that you're complete within that. When you embrace the fact that you're crooked, you recognize how straight you actually are. When you embrace the fact that you're empty, fullness blossoms within that. Yeah. When you embrace the fact that you're worn out, you do become new. Like you become new in this state. And it's just like, oh, okay, I'm worn out. And now I'm new in the state of being worn out. And then somehow energy is filled because you're not living from the past. You're living from this moment. And this moment is now readjusted.
Yeah. Balance, isn't it? It's
right.
all about balance. It's quite lovely, really.
And then that last line of this first section, he who wants it all must know what all includes. And remember the title, looking away from what you want. If you're exhausted and you're like, oh, I just want more energy, well, look away from that and be here, and you will find a new baseline. And you will find that you have energy. If you realize that you're crooked, and instead of saying, I want to be straight, you realize a new baseline, and then straightness presents itself.
Yeah.
And then it says, thus the master stays centered in Tao and becomes an example for the world. It's not trying to be other than it is. She knows her light is forfeit. And because she knows her life is forfeit, she's not trying to force anybody to see it. People can see it intrinsically. Yeah. Because she has no point to prove, people can trust her words. She's not trying to manipulate anything. She's just saying what she says without anything to prove, and people can trust her. Because she has no identity, she becomes a mirror for others. She actually embraces Tao to the idea that we are all connected. There is no separateness. You can see yourself in me. And I don't have a point to prove, and I don't have an identity that I need you to see. And you can see yourself through the experience of being in my presence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? It's such a, when you think about Tao and the way that we kind of work within it, or the part that we are it is all very much inward, but in fact it's a very loving and giving way of being, because Absolutely. we are everything.
Yeah.
We're giving to ourselves, and we're kind of finding a beautiful experience amongst this beautiful space that we're in, inside our bodies, outside our bodies, in the universe, in everything, in the void. At the same time, we're loving it and giving to it at the same time. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And there's no way for that to, that's the thing. Anything you do for yourself, you're doing for the collective, because you are connected to it all. And that's what this says at the end. Like, thus, when it is said to become complete, know that you're partial. Yes, You are complete as a separate being, but you are not only a separate being. This goes into the paradox of Jesus, right? Like you are both man and God. And as that is connected to everything, you are both. You are connected to everybody and everything.
Yeah.
And you are having this separate experience of that. It is wise to heed and surrender to that partiality, because only by living in collaboration with Tao or God, or however you want to refer to it, can one find completion, because you have never not been complete.
Yeah.
But when you live in collaboration with life, then that completeness like presents itself.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to, I get to see it and feel it and be it. It's just phenomenal. And I also get to be anxious. I get to be angry.
Absolutely.
I get to be sad. I get to be mean. I do all of those things. I'm not going to deny that I do those. Those are my crooked.
Yeah, to become nice, know that you're a jerk.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all, and that's
great.
all fine. Yeah.
Martin, John, thank you so much. And
Absolutely,
thank you for talking us all, every one of us, through the experience that we've had over the last 24 hours. And, being able to just trust in Tao, really.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah. Much love to you. I'm glad you're here.
No, thank you. Love you too. Okay, we're going to bring Karim up. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And then Paula and then Melissa. So if you guys can hang out, great.
How are you?
Karim, how are you?
Very well. Very well.
Good. I'm glad.
Listening to this for a few minutes, and it's great stuff. Thank you for putting this on. I'm just back to new old wisdom person, so
I've been around since the wisdom days, so like
absolutely. But I really love this, and I don't want to take the entire time because I think there's other people that need to jump on. But you said something really interesting that sparked a memory that what I love about the human condition is that we're built with intentional constraints and like reduced aperture. And while that seems like a negative comment initially, where it's like, oh, you're lacking effectively, I heard something, and I've got to find out where I got this from and where it originated. But basically, it was we and the human experience and this collective experience that you're referencing, this sort of tied to broader consciousness, is simply our astral or source selves experimenting in a state of lacking by design, to feel things, to experience things, to have that pain, to bring us back into feeling, to get an experience that you otherwise couldn't have in a perfect situation of void, right? Because there's no such thing as that in that state. And we all strive to get back there through this experience, and that's part of the process. So this term human experience, I think, is a really important term. It's undervalued, because I think it really is about saying, look, this is a very momentary part of the event stream of your consciousness choosing to have this particular experience. And you're going to come in all shapes and forms and sizes with all these limitations, self-imposed or otherwise. And it's sort of funny, and it's almost a cosmic joke a little bit, not in a bad way, but that we're constantly trying to scrape that back and expand that aperture and widen it. And it's like, well, we already are that way. We're really by design coming here to feel that lesser kind of Brahmin approach to the situation, which is interesting. And I really like that because it's comforting. It makes you realize, no. When this movie's over, you go back to your more prime, state of being, and it's always there behind the scenes. What's your take on that, Martin John? I'm curious on your thoughts as it relates to what you've read and seen.
Well, I read the Tao, and this is about Tao. And Tao is just the Chinese version of Brahman. So it's all, whatever. It's all, it's all good. It's hard because what you're talking about is coming from an intellectual place, and it's true. We can engage this from an intellectual standpoint, and I talk about pre-karmic buffet, which is what you're sort of referencing, and I talk about addiction, and I talk about a lot of the things that you're addressing. To talk about those things in this sort of direct way gets us down paths that we can't we can't really justify, right, because of the fact that what we talked about earlier, this idea that words are particular, they cannot express doubt, right? So in addressing it, this is why this is sort of it's experiential. This is why I address it through an experiential. And this is why when I wrote my version of the Tao, it is experiential rather than mystical, right? So many of the versions of Tao take it from a mystical standpoint. I take it from an experiential standpoint because it's your experience of Tao that is important, not the mystical qualities of Tao. There was a time where the mystical qualities of Tao were important because we were in a mindset of logic. That logic mind is transitioning to a spirit mind, and as that happens, we no longer need to justify logic as much as we need to just kind of surrender to experience. And so even though we've talked about things like that before, we've talked about it from this standpoint, and even my talking about this is frustrating only because, again, this falls into the category of intellectualizing something that is not that one. You can't. I agree. You can't intellectualize entirely this experience.
No, I 100% agree. In fact, to kind of restate, maybe be a little more clear, my concept around logic is that it is a attempted construct around that which can't be interpreted. It's like not having the right languages for having or the right words for an experience that you felt and truly did experience, that words just don't justify it. It's our human condition is by design not meant to understand certain things. I first recognize this. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, and I have a little bit of a pushback on the idea that there is a human experience, because I don't necessarily, because you have an individual experience, and we could take the human experience, we can take every human and say, oh, this is the human experience, but we only have human experiences to measure. And so we're not asking cats and dogs what their experience is. And so we're making a lot of assumptions that this is special for us. And we're making a lot of assumptions that, that this is, and so I really tend to, when I hear like human experience, I tend to not want to personally use that, because we're working at a deficit. We can't know if that's true or not. We can be arrogant and say it is, or we can step back and say, well, this is my experience personally, because you don't even know if I exist.
Right.
You only know your experience. All of this may be hallucination, and you may be having a Karim experience, which doesn't relate to any other human except the humans that you perceive. And because you're the one perceiving them, it isn't a human experience. It's your experience.
Right. No, it's true. No, I completely agree. I think what's fascinating, and look, this is tied to what said before, and I'll hop up after this one comment. Ego is a big deal in this situation. Humans, if we can call ourselves that at this point, or whatever kind of manifestation we are of this, right. And yourself, we all tie ourselves, like, effectively trying to make sense of the whole concept around Tao, like you've done, which is fascinating. You've taken an interpretation of it. That's cool. I'll have to go dig that up and read it for sure now. I'm curious. What part of that, in the throes of writing it over again, or putting your interpretation out into the world, did you realize your place in existence? It's a very broad question, but I think hopefully you're grasping.
I don't know that. I don't even know that I can.
Too big for this chat.
That's it. Well, that's a huge question. And surrendering to the fact that I don't have existence, I think, is what really drives it all. And I think that that's really that I am here at the behest of the universe, kind of this is a gift, and I am simply doing the next most obvious thing. It is not me, right, doing it.
Yeah. No, you answered it in an interesting way, actually. So thank you for that. Well, very good. Listen, I'm going to let other people come up here. It's been great talking with you.
All right. Thank you. And I do want to just state that, usually I don't let people fucking come and go without picking a number. So if you have a number.
Oh, please. Sorry. Yeah. Absolutely.
So between 1 and 81.
73.
73. And then, we can go through it quickly.
We'll see. Please, very happy to stay. I just want to give other people a chance.
Oh, yeah.
But that's great.
No, but this is the Tao of the day is what we do. So we have to,
fantastic.
It's all about picking a number. I mean, Dr. Ralph, because he does the work that he does, I allow him to come and go, but other people this is what we do. Okay. So number 73 is entitled Nothing Falls Through. And I really think this relates so much to what we've just been talking about. And so I'm going to read it through, and you just let me know what stood out to you, because it's impossible for you to hear this for the first time and not really read along and be able to understand the depth that this is going to go through. So we'll just kind of focus on anything that stands out to you specifically. There are men who love feeling, and to feel they kill. There are men who love feeling, and to do so remain calm. Who is to say who will experience more turmoil? There is purpose in walking with death as there is in walking with life. The inner workings of Tao can never be understood. It makes no commands, yet all things come on their own accord. It never acts, but all things act on its behalf. It is empty, yet within it lays all things and their master plans. Tao is a net holding all things together, connected. Its mesh is wide, but it holds so well nothing falls through.
Wow. I'm smiling because it was extremely relevant.
Yeah. No joke.
Yeah.
So did any word or phrase or something stand out to you?
I really like that it kicks off the entire concept of feeling, right? Because that's fundamentally how we started this conversation, which is what, once we get to know each other a little more, we'll have some time. But I'm not wrapped up in the intellectualism of life, by the way, for context. But that's
whatever. Yeah, whether you are or not doesn't matter to me.
100%. No. This is for the listenership right now to understand where we're coming from together, because it is really cool to kind of find commonality that way. But on feeling, I like that a lot, because people and us and who we believe we are all strive for that. We're looking for that sensation. We'll just use that word a little more broadly. And I love how it juxtaposes extremes and how people turn the volume knob high or low depending on the situation they're in to get that sort of feedback cycle that we so desperately need on all fronts.
Yep.
And I do love that it's all the constructs there and will always be there. And no, that's fantastic. Great one.
And I like this idea that we were talking earlier about, you asked me my existence or whatever about in writing it and all that. And I was just like, well, it's not me, and that whole thing kind of comes into play here when it says the inner workings of Tao can never be understood. And it's not like me trying to understand it. It's me surrendering to the fact that the inner workings of Tao are working through me. It makes no commands, yet all things come on their own accord. So I didn't write this because I felt, any other way than, this is what I'm going to do now. It never acts, but all things act on its behalf. Even this show is being acted on behalf of Tao. It's not necessarily for me. Yes, okay, maybe doing this show and stuff is going to supply me with, other avenues to support me, but life is a gift received from Tao. So I'm acting in this life on behalf of Tao. And
it says this next line, it is empty, yet within it lays all things and their master plan. The master plan for my experience and the master plan for what I'm going to introduce to this world and what I'm going to do and how I'm going to experience lays in Tao. And for me to surrender to Tao, I can be. Right? Tao is a net holding all things together, connected. You and I are connected. And here we are connecting and we are inspiring each other and talking and other people are listening. And that's setting things into motion. And all of that is not what we're trying to do.
Correct.
Right? We're not out here attempting to do or achieve something. We're simply achieving it.
Yep, exactly. Look, I think this is fantastic, and I love this pick the number and what manifests from that is incredibly relevant. I'm sure it's happened time and time again with your show, and I think that really illustrates how powerful that is. Yeah, it's really good.
It's an oracle, so we
absolutely
use it as such. Well, thank you so much for coming up. I'm really glad that we got a chance to connect, and I'm sure we'll connect again.
Likewise, Martin John. Take care.
Absolutely. All right, Paula, it's been a minute. How you doing, girl? I'm glad that you're coming up.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, what's going on?
I am so happy to be here. Boy, that was deep.
Yeah, that'll happen early in the morning with me.
That was really deep, and I'm like, okay, let me just be.
It's a journey.
I know. And like you said, you can see where you are, where other people are, and just be. I'm not competing. I'm not trying to understand every single word of that, of, what you hear in life. You just got to be. And
I was talking to someone yesterday about my learning Spanish and all this other stuff. And I was talking about when I was a kid, I remember singing songs that were on the radio because you'd remember the sing-song part, but you don't know the words. Mm-hmm. And I would just do rhyming words, or I would try, whatever I would attempt to know they were saying. And then, years later or whatever, I would hear the words. This is how I've grown my vocabulary, I think. I would hear the words being used maybe on the news or on a TV show or in a movie or in conversation or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, wait, that's that word from that song. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know the word when I was singing the song. And then I eventually piece it together. And then it's like, oh, wait, that word has come up so many different times. Then connecting context together with all of these things. And I feel like, and in Spanish, when I'm learning Spanish, I sing Spanish songs and I don't know the words they're saying, but I do the rhyming thing again because I do realize how much I've learned through that. And then in doing that, I learn new words. And that's just very similar to this of just let it come in. You don't have to know what it means just yet. Because as your mind starts to unpack it, you will experience something that will help you define this experience.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's kind of like hands off. It's just kind of like, all right, well, this came in. I can look it up. That's perfectly okay. But that was never my, I'm not a firstborn. I was never one to run to the dictionary to understand a word. And I remember when I was learning Spanish too, people that spoke Spanish was like, oh, well, if I ever say a word you don't understand, let me know. And I'm like, oh, okay, but there's so many. I don't know which one to choose. And then when I ask, what is this word? And then you tell me it's a word that I know, I'm like, oh, well, I don't need you to, but I didn't know it in context because I'm nervous or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that happens when we're learning a new way of seeing things. It's just kind of like, being empty allows us to be filled with all of this stuff rather than like put so much pressure on ourselves to know the right answer or whatnot.
Yeah, that's I'm taking that to heart because I was so excited. Everybody should be getting your book. The book is awesome. I went through the whole book and I would read the ones that, my mind needed or wanted to read at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I'd skim through and I look at another page and look at another page until it was like 2 a.m. So then I had so much fun.
It is. Like I love, because I'm not like a traditional reader, I love the idea of books that you can just open to a page and it just give you something.
Right. And that's how I like to read. I read what I need or want to read or what I'm being drawn to read at that time. But now, of course, my logical mind says, start on the page 1. Well, I started on page 1 last week. And Martin John, I was so confused. and
That's okay. It's okay.
Hey, I have a master's degree and a bachelor's degree. And,
and I do not have a bachelor's degree, by the way.
And I'm like, I can get this. This isn't even a full page. Come on, Paula. Get with the program. And today, when we went, I said, I'm just going to wait and I'm going to see if I can get on today. And I'm going to start with 1. Well, you did 1 with JK. And I said, oh my gosh. I was like screaming and I said, that's what I wanted to say today. Number 1. So I really loved it. And for the first time, hearing you talk and hearing JK talk, it was such a good experience because I was reading with, like you said, not understanding, first of all, and also reading with trying to pull from the knowledge I have instead of just being.
All right.
And I thought,
and I would love to read over 1 again. 1 is great with you, and we can because 1 is really like, this is to understand that the first line of this entire book is words are particular, they cannot express Tao. It's like, what are you reading this for? Right? Like this is like when I decided to translate it in that way, and it's the same in every translation more or less, but like everything that you're going to see here is particular. And the thing is, it's particular to how you are going to experience it.
Okay.
But you did not write this. So words are particular. I'm not going to achieve you understanding Tao through my words. So it is telling you specifically, don't get too hung up on the words.
Okay.
Like that's what we're saying in the first line. Words are particular. They cannot express Tao. The words can't express Tao. And so then it says, to have a name is to be limited to manifestation. That which is nameless is the source of manifestation. It's like words are particular. The word is a name. Even the word I, the word that's a name. That's a name for a thing.
Okay.
And any word is only here to express something that's not expressible. A baby exists and communicates without words.
Yeah.
And you do that through feeling. And you do that through witnessing in this moment. And there are people who, when you are communicating with somebody on the street, let's say, because I can say you're in a foreign country, your language, and there's body language and pointing and maps and all these things. But when you walk by someone on the street, there are some people who you are communicating with without, and you recognize you're communicating with them, even if they don't look at you. You're like, oh, I thought we were going to have a connection or whatever. Those micro sort of relationships that we have in our lives. They only happen in split seconds, like waiting for a bus or whatever. And like we literally communicate without words, without eyes, without body language or anything. We just we feel. Mm-hmm. And that And that's our connection. That's the source of manifestation. There's no way to explain that. There's no way to identify that. There's no way to build a structure. And you've heard me talk about structure and substance in the past. There's just substance there.
Right.
And in that moment, it's intense, and then it's gone. And to give that a name is just to lose the sense of awe of all that we are.
Okay.
Because words are particular. They cannot express. I cannot hold back the love that I have for humanity or the love I have for other people. And if I try to explain it, I'm only going to diminish it. Just like you can only be diminished by an identity. Because you are connected to God. You are all things. You are connected to everything. There is nothing that you are not. So to identify anything, I remember one time I went into this group and they were like, how would you finish the sentence, I am? And I said, with a period.
I love it. Yeah.
Why would I put a word at the end of that?
Yeah.
Because I am. I mean, if it's good enough for Jesus, this is where we go. We go like, we've been carrying the torch, for 2,000 years of Jesus, right? And of this idea of like being both man and God. And there's nothing that says God is not within me. Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's like, there's nothing that says I am not a child of God, right? Like there's nothing that like just because we identified one, it doesn't mean that all of us aren't, because it says it explicitly everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so to just be like, I am. And that is everything. I am. Like if we can really just kind of be in that space of I am.
I am. Mm-hmm.
And it's like I really realize what that's saying. It isn't about I am special. No, I am.
I am the great I am.
Yeah, wow. And that's who we all are. That's what, like it's not about like I am a thing, because I'm not a thing. I am. Whoa. Right? Like that's, and as soon as we put a word on that, to have a name is to be limited to manifestation. If you add a word on the end of that, you have a name. And now you're limited to manifest. Now you're limited to I am a brother.
Yep.
Okay. Well, now I'm less than I was when I was just I am.
Okay.
That which is nameless is the source of manifestation, and that's the root that that we want to embrace, or as best as we can, or to our potential in this moment. And then there's this line that I was talking about, does all the heavy lifting. Self-referential, those who name themselves. That means as soon as you look outside of yourself and name something, you're identifying yourself as the observer and in relation to what you're identifying. That's a lot of words. But do you understand what that means?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do.
So as soon as you say that's a tree, you've identified the fact that you think you're separate. You've identified, what's that?
It's like a label. Labeled
that's
it.
Right. You labeled it.
You see when you do that word.
That's right. You've labeled it. And because you've labeled it, you're identifying yourself as not it.
Mm-hmm.
And so self-referential, those who name, the minute you name something else, you are defining yourself from your perspective, and other people can see it. Like the tree knows that it's like, you're calling me a tree. That says more about you than it does about me, sweetheart.
Yep.
And the tree doesn't care. You can say, you can call me a tree. I know what I am.
Yeah.
The tree's just like, I am. It's like, you can call me what you want, but that says more about you than it does about me.
I get that. But it's funny because before just reading it, I was reading it and trying to pull from all the things that I know about whatever. And that's not important. Just be. Just be.
Right. Right. Because all that you are, all your master's degrees, all your education, all your experience, all of your life is tied up to an identity.
Mm-hmm.
And although, yes, you are experiencing that identity, there's parts of yourself that you don't know yet.
Yeah.
And those are starting to blossom now, right? As you start to realize, wait a minute, this is all me. Like, wow, I am in this really deep way, right? And it says here, and this is when I translated these last 4 lines, like, want to experience the depth of the mystery. It's flippant. It's saying, oh, do you want this? Stop identifying. Do you want that? Differentiate. Do you want to experience the shallowness of the manifestation? Differentiate. You are going to do both. When you go to a carnival, you don't want to experience the depth of the mystery. Why would you want to do that while you're at a carnival? Yeah. You want to experience the shallowness of manifestation while you're at the carnival. So differentiate. I want candy corn, and I want to go on that ride, and I want to throw up, and I want to do all these things. I want to have this experience.
I already know what I want, right?
Yeah. But you're not going to go to a carnival and going, I want to experience the depth of the mystery while I'm here at the carnival. Like that, what a waste of your time. So the idea is, like, who cares what you do? It doesn't matter what you do. You can identify, and you can stop identifying, and you can be God in this experience. You can be the great I am. And you can differentiate, and you can go to some really great restaurant and taste really beautiful food and do all of the beautiful things that you do in this body. And what it says at the end here is, either way, no one can tell. Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. The difference is in your experience, the experience that you have in this body, the experience that you have. That's going to be the thing that is going to be different. But you won't know it. You won't know if you're not going to know. You're just going to be having the experience.
Right.
And this is, like, whether or not you have the experience of if life is difficult for you, that's the experience. That's okay. Like, if you want to complain about it, well, then you're going to continue to contribute to the difficulty life presents, and you're going to invest in that.
Right, manifest it. Yeah,
right.
Grow it.
Absolutely. And it's going to continue, and it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And good for you. You want to have that experience? Go right ahead.
Yeah.
That's why words are particular. That goes back to that. So now, when you're sitting here complaining, those words are particular. And when you're complaining, you're like, oh, okay, they're investing in this complaint. So the complaint is, why does nothing work out for me? And your life is like, oh, you like that question? Here, let me show you why your life doesn't work out for you. Mm-hmm. Let me keep showing you why your life doesn't work out for you. Now, until you can say, why do people see me as beautiful? Because people do. No matter how many people may not see that, there are people who do see you as beautiful. And then you can start to witness it from another perspective. Now you're investing in a different question. How you raise the question is very important to how you're going to experience the children of that, the outcome of that thought.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate that. And I just wrote down, stop identifying.
Yeah. Stop identifying. And let me search that really quick. Yeah. Stop identifying. And that is, that phrase, the only verse that phrase exists in is number 1. Stop identifying. Want to experience the depth of the mystery? Stop identifying.
Stop identifying. Well, that stood out to me when you read it the first time and the second time.
Yeah. Stop identifying. And so if that's what stood out to you, you know, and then this would go to, you know, it's hard when we have degrees, you know, because we've invested so much in them. We want to hold them as special. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's identifying. It's just like I identify with being a graduate. Like I don't have a bachelor's degree, so I don't identify. Part of me identifies as someone who doesn't have a bachelor's degree, and as a contrarian, I really do love the fact that I've chosen a path that was different than a lot of people my age, and that puts me in the position of identifying. And I used to identify as someone who didn't read, and I don't like reading, but I do it. But I don't identify so much, a little bit, but I don't identify so much as I used to as someone who didn't have this traditional education, you know. Okay. But I have, and I still have to do work on not identifying as that. Because that keeps me from being all that I am, because I am brilliant. Like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And I know that, and I am, and I I mean, I've talked to people with master's degrees and stuff, and I have a better vocabulary, and I don't read, but the whole point of reading is to improve your vocabulary and improve your language and all of those things. But I somehow have gotten around that and still kind of sound as if I'm some sort of scholar sometimes. Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you know. But I identified so wholly, and if people call me a scholar, like even when you said you have a degree, I had to chime in. I don't have a bachelor's degree, and that is my contrarianism. That is my ego. That is all of my bullshit that I need to be able to look at. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You know what, Martin John, before my dad passed, I told you that in May, he told me, he said, Paula, you've only scratched the surface of your life. He said, stop talking so much and listen. Just listen, you know? And I just thought, I just like froze, you know, because when he said that, it was like, I'm thinking I'm caregiving, I'm helping him, I'm doing everything in my power to get experimental medicine, to do everything that I can to help him.
Yeah. And
he laid that on me, and those words stick with me because I do listen now. Right. And I'm, not always trying to have a comment to put in, but I'm, like you said, experiencing Tao because I am greater than what I appear to be, but I need to listen.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, you're not necessarily just listening to people. You're listening to the nature of the universe communicating with you.
Right, exactly. And that's what he meant. That's what he meant.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, Daddy, talk, tell me something. Open your eyes, talk to me,
He's like, no, just listen. I'm not going to say anything. Just listen. Right.
And that whole experience, I run it through my mind. I see it and I feel it. Like you said, you feel it.
Yeah.
And everything can't be in words.
No. Words are particular. They cannot express this. And you just want to know the right thing to do. The thing is you'll never do the wrong thing. You just have to trust yourself enough to let go of being sure. That's what faith is. That's what faith is.
Okay.
Is doing it without being sure of that you're doing the right thing. But, I know you want to do the right thing because, but you've learned in a world of schooling, in the world that you experience, that doing the wrong thing is punishable. Mm-hmm. And so you want to make sure you do the right thing so you don't get punished, or you don't get caught, or whatever it is. And as you experience that, you open yourself up to trusting trusting that, you are God. You are, and there is communication happening with you all the time. And like your dad said, shut up.
Yes, he did. Not in quite that strong way.
Right,
He did say that. Just listen. Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Absolutely, Paul. I love you. I'm so glad that we've connected, and I'm looking forward to working with you more.
Oh, and I encourage everybody, get the book. You're going to love it because you can read alongside, and it just helps you to remember. And if you're not a real big note taker, I am a big note taker, by the way. But if you're not, that's going to help you to understand and to remember. Thank you. Love you too, Martin John.
We'll be in touch.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye. All right, I'm bringing Melissa up. Melissa, you've been so patient. Thank you. And then I got Loice, my buddy Loice. Hey, Melissa, how are you? Spring break.
No, I'm back to work. Yesterday was back.
You back? Oh, God.
It's all right.
Okay, good.
There's a lesson. There's a reason. There's a season. All things. There's a purpose for all things under heaven, right, my friend?
That's right.
Oh, can I start by reframing something for you? I love you, but I just want to ask first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I just want to tell you that in my mind, you are absolutely a scholar because there's something called the School of Life. And it delivers some freaking hard knocks, my dude. And I think we've experienced some of those. So I would just have to disagree with you not seeing yourself as a scholar because you are very scholarly. You have a wonderful vocabulary. And I'm telling you, the School of Life is freaking real, my dude. You know it.
Oh no, I know.
I'm sorry. I had to throw that out there. I'm sorry, my friend.
No. I'm appreciative. And I do see myself that way. And there is this. I have a strong ego about how smart I am.
I just wanted to affirm that if you weren't feeling it, my friend.
There is this whole I don't have a bachelor's and look at me go. So that's sort of, and that's the stuff that I was talking about with Paula, where it's just I had to mention that I don't have a bachelor's because of all these things. And that's ego. And I know that's a little bit of a jerky sort of move. And that's something that I don't like that I do. That's something that I have to look at and be able to be like, hey, you know what? I don't like that I have to mention that and stuff like that. Sometimes I do. I remember one time I was talking to Paula. I think it was the first time. And for some reason, I mentioned I'm in the Chicagoland area. And in my mind, it was is that my ego kind of tipping in and talking about that? But then I realized she was in Gary, which is literally the next town over from where I am. And I was just that blew my mind, and it was that might have been the reason that I said that, just to kind of put a flag out to her, because I didn't know, but here it was, we were connected by locale in such a direct way. I mean, she's in Arizona now, but she grew up in Gary. So it was a really beautiful sort of thing. So sometimes, it's not just my ego but it's good to recognize what is my ego. And when I say things, when I chime in and say things I don't have a bachelor's, it's remember me, this isn't something this is real for me. This isn't something that I'm looking to get a grade on. I'm just awesome because I am.
You are awesome, and I can give you a grade. I've given lots of grades over the years, and you would definitely get an A+ in my book, dear. But you said something. You said something about when you were talking to Paula and mentioning the whole dairy and all that, and that made me think of that verse that you read earlier today, where you were talking. I think it was with Karim about Tao being a net and holding all things. Or that might have been Julie. I don't know.
No,
it was somebody. You said it. It was okay. Yeah. Dude, the conversations today. Awesome.
Well, it's interesting because we couldn't do a talk yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
right?
That was a
Because
whole, like, I heard some BS about that, and I won't get into that with you because I was like, we have our own, like, ladies, the ones that went to South Carolina and met up for spring break. We
yeah,
have, like, our own little private chat, and, like, I was cautioned, like, when I get cautioned not to do things, I'm like, oh, shit. I'm sorry, I said a bad word at school. What's
no,
going on?
yeah.
So I didn't know, like, sometimes I don't have the backstory, my dude. And so once I was like, oh, that's the game they're playing at.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I
don't
got
know
it
any
now.
backstory. I don't know anything about any of this. I was asked to not do any talks, so I didn't. And then I got, and then there was some badge stuff. Both myself and Dr. Rao kind of got our badge taken, but reinstated, obviously, because I'm here doing a talk. So, but I don't
Well,
know. I don't
I'm
know
so
what the whole.
thankful because, with me, how fear shows up for me, but I did so well. I realized that it was false evidence and it was appearing real, but it wasn't real. And guess what? I was like, I'm just going to see. My buddy Martin John taught me this. Let's see what happens. Let's just
Yeah,
see what happens. And you came back like I
and I
was
came
hoping
back.
you would. See?
Yeah,
I didn't like to have to spin and do a story and all the crazy, cray shit that I usually do.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was,
yeah.
you know what? I have a name, and that dude, Karim, he actually helped me. He called it the nefarious gremlin. I'm going to call it the nefarious negative ninny because I have a nefarious negative ninny that likes to say crap in my brain. And I was like, ooh, I
Yeah,
like alliteration too. So
yeah.
I was like, ooh, I control the nefarious negative ninny. I like it.
That's good. That's good. Like, it's tough when story is really important.
Oh,
And we get into this place where we believe story so much. It's really difficult because story can really kind of get in the way of us
yeah.
being able to just, like I was telling story this morning about like, oh, maybe I've been, what am I going to do now? And then I was like, you know what? Chill out. It's fine. Like if you don't get it, you don't get it. And then you can just, you can take your leave. You can like message people if you do this somewhere else or, just whatever. And you can just move on. And it's like, not what I would have wanted, quote unquote, but if that's what would have happened, that I would have accepted it and moved on. I would not have fought or anything else. I wouldn't even have sent another email. I sent an email just saying, hey, is this going to be coming back or what? But other than that, I was like, I can't control what they do. I can't control what other people do. And it's not for me to decide. So I can just let it go.
I feel that. I can barely control myself sometimes, man. I'm just
I
saying.
know.
I know you do.
But
I laugh at myself.
storytelling is such a, like we talk about it as it being really important. A lot of people are like humans have been telling story and I was like, well, yeah, but that was so we can understand things. Maybe we don't need to understand things as much as we think we do. Maybe
Oh,
we're
man.
evolving into something more than storytellers.
Oh,
And
I like
I don't want to say that story is not important. It's important to a lot of people, but I don't know. You got a number?
that. I too. 44.
44. Wow. Okay. 44. The influence of excess.
Oh, okay.
How is your situation at the school?
Well, it's interesting because the fourth grade teacher, I think she took an extended spring break, and I kind of and I stopped myself yesterday too because I'm like, what if she doesn't come back? And I'm like, well, what does it matter? You're going to be able to teach whether she's flipping there or not. I mean, I'm teaching her class anyway, so
Right.
what does it matter, right? Whether she's here being negative or I'm here being positive, So she's not here, and it was funny because there was a sub that I guess they got for 3 days, and she came in yesterday, and she was trying to assert herself and da-da-da, and she got a little flustered at one point with the kids, and she's like, they have her, they have her respect and they respect her and they don't respect me. And I've been doing this for 40 years and I can get the principal if I need to. And I'm like, whoa, hey, it's okay. We don't need to get the principal. We don't need to throw out numbers. It's all right. Everything's going to be okay. And I was just like, wow, where did this Melissa come from? I like her. She's pretty cool. Like, so yeah, it's a little cray-cray, but you know what? Guess what? There are only less than 8 weeks left, Martin John, and then I'm going to be on to bigger and better things, my friend.
That's right. That's
8 weeks, my dude.
Yeah, that's less than 40 days.
And you know, I've dealt with harder things for longer before, so you know what? I will get through this. And Val the net, it's holding me. It's holding all things, my dude.
We're being held. Life is easy.
It is.
So, influence of excess. Fame or integrity, which of these do you focus on seeing or obtaining? Possessions or fulfillment, in which do you spend your time investing? Success or failure, of which has offered you the most growth? Under the influence, you spend yourself accumulating only loss and regret. Fulfill your needs and be content. When you know excess is excessive, you'll be open to receiving harmony. You know, and I look at that and I see the last story you told about like you being in a harmonious space when your sub was flipping out. And you weren't under the influence of someone else not coming in, or under the influence of anger, or under the influence of hunger, or under the influence of, you know, the importance of your job, or you're having to, you know, your expectations or their expectations. Because when you're under the influence, you own, like, let's look at your sub as being under the influence of her position. Under the influence, you spend yourself accumulating only loss and regret. She's only losing energy by complaining. She's only losing the battle by being discontent. And is it going to serve her in any way? And then you're like, hey, let's calm down. Everything is going to be fine. And then she's able, hopefully, to be able to experience that moment from a different perspective. And then gain from that experience rather than spend herself. You know, and when we look at like the first pairings, it's not about focusing on fame or integrity. It's about doing what you do at this moment, being as you are. It's not about possessions or fulfillment either. It's about fulfilling through this experience. And if some of that has to do with possessions, so be it. Success or failure. Success can offer growth, as can failure. And
that line stuck out to me when you read that. I was like, ooh, which one has served me better? Because they both have served me in different ways. Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
And you know, and like we can make the assumption off the bat, like, oh, failure. I grow most through failure. But the only way that success is going to not offer growth is if you sit on your laurels and say, I'm successful, rather than just continuing to grow. So it is how you approach it, how you approach both possessions and fulfillment, how you approach both fame and integrity, and how you approach your life. The idea at the end of this is when you know excess is excessive integrity, like putting all of your life into integrity. I have integrity, and then push away everything else. Just like we were talking with Paula about going to the carnival. You're going to go to the carnival and you're going to try and find fulfillment there? No, you're going to go to the carnival to have an experience, to possess this moment of experience. You're going to go on a tilt-a-whirl. That's not about fulfillment. That's about the moment.
Well, you know what? Speaking of the moment, students are walking in, and I have to go. But I love you, and I will talk to you later. And have a great day.
Good. You too. Bye. Good luck with all of the children and all of the things. Thanks for
If you would have turned off, I would have. I did hear a couple things, so I wasn't sure about the children. Loice, how you doing?
Hey, John, how you doing?
I am well.
Several time. I'm sorry.
What's that?
And I was talking to my daughter.
Okay.
Because I went in her room in like 10 minutes after I thought she normally gets up, and she was still sleeping. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is she not going to work? And then she came in here and looked at me like I was crazy for messing with her. So, that's why I said, I'm sorry. Okay, I won't be real. I'm sorry. Okay, at any rate.
My bad.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got woken up in the middle of the night and was told to work on something, and I worked on it. And then I looked at the time, and it was 4 hours later. Okay.
In the zone.
So when I saw it was 4 hours later, I looked at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, she should be getting up. She should be up by now. So it was me coming out of the zone and seeing the time and not hearing her stirring around in there.
Right.
So at any rate, how you doing, Martin John?
I'm doing real well. We're just trying. We're going through a transition. I finished that little western side of my living room. That's all up. I'm gonna be having a roommate for the next 6 months or so. My buddy Robin, who was staying with me last year, gonna come out again and stay with me for 6 months again. That's nice. It's always nice to have someone around and a buddy to kind of chit chat with and shoot the shit with and whatever. And so because that project is done, I'm in this little lull. I'm in this time of just like, okay, well, what next? And I'm sort of open and a little sort of tentative. And I feel that, but it's not a big deal. And I am, and we'll see where it takes me.
I know that's right. You gotta listen to your intuition, see what's the next step. That's why when mine woke me up in the middle of the morning and told me to do something, I did it.
You do
okay.
it. No, yeah,
right.
no.
It's just
no
like
question.
If no questions asked. Now I probably will make up the getting up 4 or 5 hours extra early.
I'll make that up in a little bit. Yeah.
I gotta make it up because I actually have a one-on-one with Sharente because I'm in her YouTube class on how to do YouTube for beginners.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So I'm learning. So I still have to review the class I wasn't able to go to last week because I wasn't able to go to it last week.
Yeah.
Okay. But at any rate, what else? I don't know what else. But I'm still working on this house situation, and it's progressing, and I'm gonna say it's progressing, and that's what I was up for, to write down questions I needed to ask, and I needed to get a revised contract and payment, whatever, how I'm gonna pay the contractor, because hopefully the reconstruction will start on Tuesday if we can come up with a satisfactory agreement, because I ain't giving nobody all of the money.
Yeah, no.
I am not crazy. I am not zippy, okay? And I actually wrote a letter and put it in writing and research the statutes and all that other kind of stuff. And I see what legally they can ask for if they are truly licensed in the state of Nevada. Hey, I did my due diligence. Okay, so because I'm working with 43, I want to work with 43.
43.
Yes.
Be silent and learn. The flexible will outlast the rigid. The gentle will outlast the hard. Tao, which has no structure, has penetrated all, even that which has no space to enter. Through this I see that unforced action and silence are the only path to completeness. Action, free of expectations and desire. This is the lesson of the nature of things. Listen to your nature. Be silent and learn. And when the idea of being silent isn't forcing silence. It's being still, right? Like, so you sleep, and in your stillness, you are inspired. Then you get up and you do a thing. And then You're like, oh, me doing is a good idea. So let me go bug my daughter a bit and see what's going on. And we can just kind of it's that flexibility. It's that flexibility to be still and then be inspired. Work on that inspiration and learn. Be still, be inspired.
And what happened yesterday, I met with the contractor in my my adjuster, my private adjuster yesterday, and I not only listened, I listened and had Sharente with me recording that they didn't know they were being recorded, because Vegas is a place where it can be a one-sided recording and it's legal. Okay.
Oh, good.
I'm not playing no more games. They did some flip-flopping on me.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was like, I ain't going by myself. And they didn't see what she was doing because her hand was in her pocket. And she had her recording glasses on as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. And so we captured everything, and then asking me for what they asked for, and then I'm thinking, that don't sound right. So I just listened. I said, well, I'm asking these questions because I don't know. I've never been through this process before, and I stayed silent for a long time. So, and I said, this is why I'm asking these questions, because this is what's told to me, and then this was done and this was told, and this was done, and nothing was ever done and told the way it was said. So this is why I'm asking you. Whatever, and then I come back home, but then I go to sleep. I got quiet, and I didn't do it. I didn't call the person right away when I was still feeling that. And I did call the adjuster, said I said, I'm not feeling real comfortable with this. I said, so I'm going to go to sleep on it. I'm going to get quiet. I'm going to go to sleep on this, and I'm going to talk to the contractor in the morning. So I went to sleep on it, and then I was awakened. And I didn't wake up on my own. I was awakened and told to do this research and to be able to draw out how I wanted to go down, because I am hiring them to do a contract, to do what they got to do. And I have part of the money. And so was the adjuster, because he had to get paid. So I had to sign the thing. So the next check will go to him. So I'm not zippy.
That's
so
right.
I got quiet, and I got the inspiration to do my research. And now, if anybody ever has to go through this process with insurance and collection, getting their stuff rebuilt and all the stuff, I can lead them through in an easy way and tell them what to really expect, what they will say, and what the real is. What they say, what the real is, because nothing has been said and done the way it was supposed to be. Right. Because I don't know, I ask questions. But after I ask questions, I don't just, okay, then here.
Right.
No, I'm going to go to ask questions, and then I'm going to go sit with those answers.
Yeah.
and wait and say, okay, this, and then if
this doesn't feel right.
This doesn't feel right. And then I was talking to my daughter, and I'm like, still don't feel right. And then I got an answer from somebody else, and I was like, but they did this before. That didn't feel right either. And then that's when like I said, went to sleep. So you just told me the extra process that I just went through to make sure of what I had to do. It was be quiet, ask my questions, get all the questions asked, let them put it all out there on the table. I had it, like I said, got it recorded. So there was no discrepancy. They can't pull that. Well, you didn't say this, or I didn't say that, and all that kind of stuff. That's what they did this last time. And I was like, whoa, hold up, wait a minute. Okay, but I do want my house done. Okay,
yeah.
If we got to do creative financing around this claim to get the house done, okay, we can do that.
So
but be honest about it. Be honest about it.
Let's be real.
Let's put it on the table. And don't be asking me to blind faith give up everything.
That's right. Not, not in this town, sweetheart.
No. It's like, no. And that's why I said, okay. And I didn't even have to pray. I just, it didn't feel right. And I'm just going to sleep on it. But I knew I was drained after dealing with all that for the last couple of days. And I was like, oh, okay, I got to stop now. So this, you just tell me what I did was correct. And the way you put it. The way you put it, it makes me understand that, yes, I was listening and I heard, and then I did it, and now I have some ramifications. I got a letter ready. I got a checklist ready. you know. So now I'm ready. And if they don't want to work within the ramifications of the law and what I got down, because the money is available, then I need to keep looking for another contractor.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah, and you're going to find everything. It's going to. Sometimes we feel lost in the middle of our path. But when we can just kind of be still a moment and be like, no, I'm not lost. I just don't know where I am.
I need to get my bearings. I just need to get my bearings. Let me get my bearings, because it was like, ooh, let me get my bearings. Let me just chill. Let me just sit my butt down. Let me turn on some comedy. Let me turn on something that'll distract me, because I didn't feel like playing the game because my mind was going too fast. I need my mind to continue doing what it was doing, to processing. So I didn't want to put a game in front of my eyes to zone out.
Right.
So I put on some comedy while my brain was still calculating and went to sleep on it. But yes, this was a perfect. You know what, Martin? It's always the perfect one that I need to hear. That's why I always tell you what I'm dealing with first.
Yeah, so I love I was talking to someone else about that today. The idea that this is why I get a baseline. I ask what's going on so we can get a baseline, so we can start somewhere, set the energy tone, and then pick a number. And that will always, even if you had the number beforehand.
But even if back in the day, I'm going to say this, back in the day, I didn't even have to give you a tone.
No.
None of that stuff. You said the number, I said the number, you looked up the number, and then you said, after we finished, I was able to go line by line through. This is how we used to do it.
Yeah,
now, you do it differently now.
Yeah,
you do it differently now. Okay. And I used to go line by line. Okay, this equates to this is what I'm dealing with.
Right.
And this equates to this is what I'm dealing with. And this equates here. It's okay. So I can see how, and that's how it used to be. But you gotta, but I know you can get to it quicker with a lot of with the mass population. By me, it's easier to get to it faster if somebody say, "Oh, how you doing?" You tell me, "Be so nonchalant. How you doing?" "Oh, well, I'm good, and I'm doing this, and I'm going there, and I'm doing it." And then when you do it, it actually helps you as the reader. I'm gonna say that as the reader to tune into which vibration that they're emitting that they need to work on, because people emit all kinds of vibrations. At least around me, I get all kinds of stuff when I'm around.
Oh no, people. I do too.
That's what I'm talking about.
As it comes in, whether I want it to or not.
Okay, I don't have to receive it, but it still comes in.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But it comes in, and then I have to ask. That's where I get asking questions from. So I ask questions. That's why I was asking you those gentlemen questions, so that I can get enough information. And then I gave them a bunch of information. Then I asked them some more questions, so that we can get an understanding. But this is how it goes. But I love you, Martin John.
I love you, Ben.
And hopefully, I don't have no plans to come out your way anytime soon. But at some point, I will, because I already got my vacations for the end of the year.
Yeah, we'll cross paths again. I'm sure.
I'm going to. Most definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, my brother. Peace out. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, dear. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. I'm gonna call it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been almost an hour and 45 minutes of Tao of the Day. That's what I guess everybody missed me yesterday. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you find value in this show, I can always use a little boost over at Buy Me a Coffee. For anybody who buys me a coffee, I love, I'm always appreciative. So thank you, Melissa and JK and Marianne and all of the people, Shelly and Paula, all the people that have supported me through this. I may have missed some names. If I have, my bad. You can also pick up my book of the Tao. So like Paula was saying, you can follow along, and Julie mentioned it as well. You can follow along and read it while I'm reading it, and then you can sit with it That doesn't mean that I won't send you the text. I'll be sending everybody that picked a number the text from the number that they picked so that they can sit with that as well. And if you appreciate this work that I do and if you gain something from it, please consider supporting me financially through Buy Me a Coffee. You can find links to that in my profile through my website or through Linktree. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.